So, without further ado, we're going to start the program off with a short poem from our special guest of honor, Paul Baker Hernández.
All right.
Paul.
What do we need the sound system for?
That's okay.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks, everyone. My name is Paul Peulevé Baker, originally from Scotland, but living in Nicaragua, and proudly just made an honorary citizen of Nicaragua. What I wanted to do, though, to start off was, we're all aware, we've all been on demos, in fact, this week, to do with Palestine and the terrible war, and among so many terrible wars, including Nicaragua. There's a war going on in Nicaragua even today. So there's a song from Nicaragua by a duo called Guadabaranco, and it's honoring all the dead. To do with Palestine and the terrible war, and among so many terrible wars, including Nicaragua. There's a war going on in Nicaragua even today. So there's a song from Nicaragua by a duo called Guadabaranco, and it's honoring all the dead. It says, "Time is dying, and I die in it. All I ask is a moment to give meaning to our times. I go repeating your name, rodeando tu nombre, rodeando tu nombre. I go repeating your name, only longing to be your freedom. El tiempo se está muriendo y yo me muero junto a él. Solo pedía un instante de hacernos razón para vivir. Ando rodeando tu nombre, deseando ser tu libertad. Ando rodeando tu nombre, deseando ser tu libertad. There's a poem by an unknown Chilean, as so many Chileans are unknown, thanks to the coup. In 1773, we're celebrating sadly the word, we're remembering this year the 50th anniversary of the coup in Chile, and we're celebrating the music of Victor Jara, especialmente. I'll be singing some of his songs. But this is by an unknown Chilean poet. You ask us why we sing. We sing for those who died in the silence, for those who died weeping, for those who died screaming, for those who died quietly from hunger and lack of clean water. We sing for those who dream stubbornly for justice, for those who laugh in the darkness, for those who die singing, for those who work, endlessly labor for life, for freedom. For we know that greed and despair, poverty and torture and war are not our true selves, that love and gentle resolve Our song and our silence are stronger than death, and that, at the end, they will not falter.
All right. Amen. Amen. All right.
Thank you, Paul. We'll be bringing Paul back a little bit later with his guitar and to sing some songs. So our next person to perform for us today is, most of you are familiar with Strong Buffalo and the Buffalo Weavers. It's just one half of the Buffalo Weavers today, but Strong Buffalo's poetry speaks for itself, and as I said before, he's been to Nicaragua, so there's a nice Nicaraguan connection. So, Strong Buffalo.
Yes, I was down in Nicaragua. I went first on a tour with Vets for Peace. We did a week-long tour of Nicaragua. We went to coffee plantations and to factories, and there was a group of us, a bunch of us that went, and we stayed in modest motels and stuff. And everywhere I went, I kind of asked questions, how come the women weren't being paid enough? Where was this and where was that? And then after a week, they came and I was working at the International Union Treaty Council, in San Francisco. And so they came with a 53 Cadillac black limo with bulletproof windows and stuff. Two young Nicaraguan, and they could tell they were soldiers and stuff. They were in suits and clothes. And they shuttled us to the Intercontinental Managua, and we went in there. It was this fancy hotel. We met this young diplomat. He was like an international officer, and he was in a fancy suit too. And I had a Chicano Indian worked with me, was my translator, and him and I worked together. And so we went in there, we met with them, and he said, well, we're going to have to talk tomorrow. And when it came out, we just got bombarded by paparazzi, and they said, well, what are you doing here? I said, well, Sandinistas did more in 4 years for Indians than the United States did in 400. And that hit the headlines up in the States. I think Ronald Reagan was the president at the time. They didn't appreciate that much. And then after I got back from that trip, Vets for Peace called me up. And they said, did you see that article in The Nation? And he said, did you see that article in The Nation? And I said, no, I didn't see it. He said, well, it said, how come that AIM official went down to Nicaragua to make pot shots at the United States? Why didn't he listen to that U.S. Marine Dakota veteran that was there with Vets for Peace and question? And they were using me against myself. So we knew that it was disinformation because the reporter just kind of tried to diffuse what I did. So it was kind of strange. But I'd like to kind of read a couple different pieces that I did that I don't do too often. This one is called The Spot. We often refer to it as the spot. I'll meet you there. When will you go there next? When were you there last? I'm at that spot now. We all know it and we all share it. And we love it too. But others love it too. But it's our spot, our special place. But we seem to take it for granted. Yet others are running away from violence, avoiding difficult times, enduring losses to get there, going through separations with dangers and fears just for that spot. It is in our lives, it's inside our minds, it's deep inside of our hearts, and it's a part of our souls. There should be no borders there. No one should be lost or separated by paper, by laws, or by ways that deny that spot. That place should be open and free to one and all. That beautiful spot that lives and will always be the treasure of our dreams. So come all, come here to the home of the American Indian. For over 500 years, it has been a refuge of the world's refugees. Why stop now? Don't let hate stop the dreams. There's enough space for you to make a home. There's enough for it. No one has to go without. Come and be the way you want. Come and be yourself. God gave us this homeland to share, and we have. There should be no walls around your homes where no one is better or worse. Come and care and come and share. This land is a home for us all. Come all to that spot right here, right now. It's in me, it's in you. Over there and right here. That spot was given by God. That spot is God's place. I wrote this poem right around the time I went down to Nicaragua. I kind of made up a little word. I'm not a bilingual guy, but I called it indigenismo. I was thinking, Indian and machismo. So I made up the word indigenismo. And I was over in Switzerland doing a tour, and little Indian guy came up with a great big white woman, Swiss woman that was his interpreter. And I had read this poem, and he said, "Did you write that?" And I said, "Yeah, I wrote." He said, "We sing that down in it was Bolivia where he was from." And he said, "We sing that song."
Wow.
And I said, "Whoa," So that's what this one, indigenismo. Listen. Can you hear the warm southern air flowing through the borders of the bamboo and the reeds, making music out of this confusing noise? See all those massacred in Guatemala. Reach down and touch the tortured bodies hidden deep within the Peruvian dungeons. As mamas cry for the little ones long gone, raised over mountains of oppression during these revolutionary times, as the old people wait by empty windows, for tears won't return the lost loved ones, and sorrow never leaves the living room. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years and more, still no word. Doubt is worse than knowing, as the dirty war grows without any headlines. Thousands and thousands of people missing throughout the lands, assumed dead by so many families. We are just wondering what has happened to all their loved ones missing for so long. The drum has began the revolution, beating out loud that Indians are being denied by alien rule. And the drum continues to sing, genocide is the greatest crime against humanity. And the drum will end the revolution beating forever, that the truth will kill lies, and that we are the drum beaters of total resistance, singing out every day now. And the drum further reveals, revolution is merely one cycle completed within the evolutionary circle of life, and that we are the revolution alive today. For to be Indian is to be free. Yes, to be Indian is to be free. The Indian is the author of our own destiny. Yes, The Indian is the author of our own destiny. Oh, my brothers and sisters, do you hear the power of the drumbeat's heart telling all that we are the loving mother's revolutionary children fighting to remain free now? Indianismo. Indianismo. So I know you got a full program, so I'm gonna do one more and close. This one, it's kind of self-explanatory if I can find it. It's called Us, Trees and Leaves. Under the darkened pandemic sun, the wildfires are burning us, and the sparks of social justice are ablaze. We find ourselves, but we find we are all broken spirits from the arid past. Just falling leaves, just motionless human trees that are lost and confused, fluttering. Even the best of us is full of questionable doubt. Yet, there always changes when we see the spring bloom again. For each season, life gets renewed. After us, same as before us, same as now, we are becoming the trees and leaves, alive and strong, even in our weakened world. Less than before, we shake, we fall, we cry, we wither, but relatives, with our family of the air, the water, the land, and all of life, we must love becoming and being ourselves and share with each other and know that we are now becoming the glorious and wonderful trees and leaves who will breathe the good air and provide the cool shade from the pending heat. For our roots are deep, our seeds are strong, our limbs are good, and our great purpose should be full of compassionate love. Even when we fall, we will always return until the end of time. We will always be the beautiful trees and leaves who are standing up for what is right now. Thank you very much.
The amazing Strong Buffalo. You know, I was just sitting there, I was just thinking, what a real gift for our little peace and justice community that I'd be able to call up Strong Buffalo, or Larry Long is in the audience tonight, and say, hey, are you busy Saturday? And have the gift of their presence and the gift of their gifts of poetry and song. So once again, Strong Buffalo. And now, speaking of veterans of the peace and justice community, we'll bring up some musicians who are not just musicians. They're musicians. They're definitely musicians. But they're also people that have been in the streets, on the front lines, getting in trouble, getting arrested for many years, and paying their dues. And they've been very, very generous in many ways. Their time and financially, they've been very generous too. So I'm going to bring up our musical guests for today to start off the evening. Chickpea and Garbanzo, and a special guitarist guest too, Bill. All right. Chickpea and Garbanzo. And there's plenty of food back there too, so yeah, you got enough to feed the multitude.
While digesting Reader's Digest in the back of a dirty bookstore, a plastic flag with gum on the back fell out on the floor. Well, I picked it up and I ran outside, slapped it on my window shield, And if I could see old Betsy Ross now, I'd tell her just how I feel.
But your
Flag now won't get you into heaven anymore. They're already overcrowded from your dirty little war. And Jesus don't like killing, no matter what the reason for. And your flag gal won't get you into heaven anymore. Sing along if you know it. Well, I went to the bank this morning, and the teller said to me, if you join our Christmas club, we'll give you 10 of them flags for free. Well, I didn't mess around a bit. I took him up on what he said, and I slapped them flags all over my car and one on my husband's forehead.
But your
Flag
flag
now won't get you into heaven anymore. They're already overcrowded from their dirty little war. And Jesus don't mind killing, no matter what the reason for. And your flag cow will get you into heaven anymore. Well, I got my windshield stuck up with flags. I couldn't see, so I ran my car up on a curb right into a tree. By the time they got the doctor down, I was already dead. And I'll never understand why the man standing at the pearly gates said to me,
but your
flag
flag
hell won't get you in heaven anymore. They're already overcrowded from your dirty little war. And Jesus don't like killing, no matter what the reason for. And your flag cow won't get you into heaven anymore.
Well, we wish Colleen would be here for that one. She always likes to sing along. Anyway, this next tune, he doesn't necessarily say too much about it, but this is from John Prine. These two.
No, the last one was John Prine. This one
This
is
is from Tom
Tom
Baxton.
Baxton.
Yeah. Well, I was a teacher for 32 years, and I don't apologize for what we did. I think we tried to do our best, but all the education isn't good. You know, in this country where the culture is so full of misinformation and propaganda, and just full of ourselves as Americans. So this is called "What Did You Learn in School Today?"
What did you learn in school today, dear little boy of mine? What did you learn in school today, dear little boy of mine?
I learned that Washington never told a lie. I learned that soldiers seldom die. I learned that everybody's free. I learned that everybody's free. And that's what the teacher said to me.
That's what I learned in school today. That's what I learned in school.
school today, you little boy of mine. I learned that policemen are my friends. I learned that justice never ends. I learned that criminals die for the crime, even if they make a straight next time. That's what I learned in school today. That's what I learned in school. Well, what did you learn in school today, dear little boy of mine? What did you learn in school today, dear little boy of mine? I learned our government must be strong. It's always right and never wrong. Leaders are the finest men, and we elect them again and again. That's what I learned in school today. That's what I learned in school. What did you learn in school today, you little boy of mine? What did you learn in school today, you little boy of mine? I learned that war is not so bad. I learned about the great ones we have had. We fought in Germany and in France, and someday I might get my chance. That's what I learned in school today. That's what I learned in school.
You're a great audience. And I love every one of you. I was telling Strong Buffalo that I was not able to sing this in Red Wing last year. And so I've been wanting to sing it ever since then.
Yep.
Are you ready? You have the right harmonica now? I heard it from a tree and a mountain fly high. I heard it from the river and the fishes swimming by. I heard it in the earth and I heard it in the sky. Nuclear power is no good for you and I. Nuclear power is no good for you and I. Power to the people, that's the way it ought to be. Power from the sun and thermals from the sea. Power from the wind and biomass. Nuclear power is no good for us. Nuclear power is no good for us. The children grow around us with dreams in their eyes. They look to us for help and they trust that we are wise. We fill their bowl with poison from nuclear waste. Nuclear power is such a disgrace. Nuclear power is such a disgrace. Power to the people, that's the way it ought to be. Power from the sun and thermals in the sea. Power from the wind and biomass. Nuclear power is no good for us. Nuclear power is no good for us. In 29,991, the waste around right now will only be a phone. 100 generations will live with our mess. Nuclear power causes human distress. Nuclear power causes human distress. Power to the people, that's the way it ought to be. Power from the sun and thermals in the sea. Power from the wind and biomass. Nuclear power is no good for us. Nuclear power is no good for us. Some people say that nuclear power is perfectly dry casks for a storage place. In future times, those casks could break. Nuclear power is such a disgrace. Nuclear power is such a disgrace. Power to the people, that's the way it ought to be. Power from the sun and thermals in the sea. Power from the wind and biomass. Nuclear power is no good for us. Nuclear power is no good for us. Again. We've got to stop producing it, we've got to shut it down. If we keep making nuclear waste, no one will be around. It will ruin our earth and it'll kill humankind. Nuclear power is a terrible crime. Nuclear power is a terrible crime. Power to the people, that's the way it ought to be. Power to the sun and thermals in the sea. Power from the wind and biomass. Nuclear power is no good for us. Nuclear power is no good for us. If you care about a tree and a mountain flower high, if you listen to your common sense, you'll know the reason why. If you care about the earth and humanity, you've got to stop the nuclear power insanity. You've got to stop the nuclear power insanity. Power to the people, that's the way it ought to be. Power from the sun and thermals in the sea. Power from the wind and biomass. Nuclear power is no good for us. Nuclear power is no good for us.
Well, Joe wrote that song way back in 1995.
Nice,
She was the cast, and the casts were kind of a bad idea, but better than the storage pools. But we want to get rid of these nuclear reactors altogether. The funny thing about it is that I went to jail on that occasion and got to speak on behalf of quite a few people, and we did okay. But Joe and I were newly married, and I didn't know she was into this kind of resistance stuff, so I didn't really inform her. I mean, I didn't involve her, and she was being involved in her own way, writing a song, and since then we've been more in sync. 2017, wild forest fires, the worst ever seen. Spiritually destroyed, great damage deemed. Global warming a partial cause, it seems. Now is the last chance I need today to stop global warming, or we'll all have to pay. Now is the last chance I need today to stop global warming, or we'll all have to pay. 2047 is the date when all glaciers will have a melted fate, including sparing no further need for showing global warming anything but great. Now is the last chance I need today. We have to act and not hesitate. Now is the last chance I need today. We have to act and not hesitate. collision ahead, we gotta slam on the brakes. One collision ahead, we gotta slam on the brakes. Urgent action needed, we can no longer need. When is the last chance I need today to stop? Well, now is the last chance I need today, or is it tomorrow, or was it yesterday? Now is the last chance I need today, or is it tomorrow, or was it yesterday? I wrote that song after going together. We went to Glacier Park one day when they had the worst forest fires they'd ever seen in Glacier Park, and we'd seen the glaciers retreating and all that stuff. But you know, the forest fires are something else, and it's this feeling, you know, that it may be too late already. We're not going to give up fighting climate change.
Yeah. That's right.
So that I think.
Could
we
we,
were going to do that.
could we do Pipeline Blues at the very
Yeah,
end?
now, or
Yeah.
should we wait till at the end?
Let's do the Pipeline Blues.
You want it
Is
now
that okay
or?
with you, Paul?
Well, we're,
Okay,
do you?
come on up then, Bill. We'll do it. This is our last two
Yeah, let's
minutes
do
for you.
Pipeline Blues.
And we can do it again.
Come on, the Pipeline Blues.
No, we don't need to do it twice.
Yeah, get the Pipeline Blues people up here. And Bill, well, you need to, where's Bill at?
He's right there.
Oh, why not? Who else is there? Don't be shy.
We going up there?
Say, yeah, well, come up here and get us sing the
Sure.
Pipeline Blues. Come on.
Say what? Why?
Pretend like we're out here in Australia. No audience.
Smiley face.
That's a bad idea. All right.
Where'd the audience go?
Oh, yeah. It's a fish I
We do this every Monday.
Look at even the cat's gonna come.
Even the cat can come.
Yeah.
All right.
You understand?
Wait. Oh, Bill's got to get his axe off.
Oh, good.
Use this one.
Oh. Hope it works.
Every Monday, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You can join us. And out on, right in front of the governor's mansion on Summit Avenue.
There we go. All right, we're ready.
Ready?
Yeah, you have to start it.
but we resist it anyway. Well, you say the pipe was ready, but we resist it anyway. They're riding wild and destroying day by day. One more time, well, we're standing on the corner, singing that fine line. Oh, yeah. Well, we're standing on the corner, singing that fine line. Well, we're trying to stop the fire. What do we got to do?
Now we're going to go to Paul Baker Hernández, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say and hear something.
And there's plenty of food back there now. And all that energy expended singing and dancing around, there's plenty of food there. There's plenty of propaganda left on the desk. And there's also a donation bucket there, so always feed the musicians. It's always a good thing. While Paul gets up here, it takes him a while to get up here. He's not a spring chicken anymore. Water. Get this man some water, somebody. Can somebody get a glass of water for the musician? Yes, it is amazing. So a little backstory on Paul is that he'll probably tell the story anyway, right? But he was he was in a Trappist monastery, and I think he was not quite a fully invested Trappist monk. And then his sister brought some tapes of Bob Dylan, Blowing in the Wind, and Times Are Changing, and he decided he was playing it there in the monastery, and the Trappist monk said, "It doesn't sound like Gregorian chants, so you're going to have to find another place to fool around with that music." But that was the little backstory. And he's been in Nicaragua for how many years now?
Oh, since 1985.
85, back in the old Contra Wars.
Yep.
Might have run into Tom when you were down there.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe.
He got me out of jail.
So anyway, I'm going to get out of the way, and Paul Baker Hernández can take it the rest of the way.
Great. Well, that was a lot of fun. We had actually planned that for the very end of the evening, but we have a Victor Jara song instead. Well, I would have thought as well we should do it again. I like that song. Sorry, we messed up all the mics, but never mind. Just a little bit closer, please. Thank you. Right. Yes? Not all right.
Might be a little too close on the instrument.
Yeah. Little. Okay, that's fine. We'll see what it's Well, the part of the story that Dave kindly left for me to complete was that hearing old Bob, you can imagine it was a silent monastery. He had this place where we were at the top of a tower where we were supposed to practice Gregorian chant. Right? We had an old reel-to-reel Grundig thing. It was way before cassettes and stuff. And so we put this on the reel-to-reel in the hallowed room of the Gregorian chant. And out comes Bob saying, "The times they are changing," and all that kind of stuff. And we were quite surprised. And what stuck in my mind was the one line in Blowing in the Wind. How many times can a man turn his head pretending he just doesn't see? And that kind of stuck like a burr. And, you know, it sounded, I wasn't, as you said, Dave, not a fully professed monk. And this was kind of interesting. So passing the garbage tip one day, I came across a table leg, and an old drawer, desk drawer, and bits of the chapel flooring. We were building a chapel at the time. And best of all, the retired toilet seat of the abbot. As you can see, I was quite a carpenter. I reduced an entire mahogany toilet seat to that size. So anyway, so the guitar is a fascinating instrument because it's actually made out of entirely recycled materials. Even the cats, they didn't actually donate their little toys, but that would have been the ultimate, wouldn't it? Anyway, song by Victor Jara in honor of workers all over the world. And this one is called, is this Garbanzo?
That's garbanzo.
This is Garbanzo, okay. I had the only kazoo in the whole of Central America, I think, certainly in Nicaragua. And I lost it in the market this morning. And Garbanzo and chickpea, I always wanted to say sweet pea. Sound like Donald Trump, doesn't it? They bought me another kazoo. So now we have two. And probably the only two in Central America when we get there. Anyway, hello, Carp. Trick is, what do you do with the kazoo when you haven't? Igualito que otro tanto de un niño aprendí a sudar. No conocí las escuelas ni supe qué es jugar. Me sacaban de la cama por la mañana temprano y al acto mi papá fui creciendo en el trabajo. Like so many other children, I learned early to sweat and toil. Never had the time to play, see the inside of the school. They dragged me from the bedclothes way before dawn each day, and I grew up a working hand alongside my old man. Pura habilidad me la di de carpintero, de estucador y albañil, de castritornero. Pucha que sería bueno haber tenido instrucción, porque de todo elemento el hombre es un creador. Well, I turned out pretty handy. I could cut and shape a plank, build walls, slap on the plaster, fix your car or plug your tank. It would have been quite useful to have had some time in school. No matter what his tools may be, the working man's no fool. I can throw you up a house, I can roll you out a road, make one and knock your socks off, keep a factory on full load. I go down the darkest mines, climb the highest peaks, I stroll among the stars and I carve the furrows deep. I'm not hearing anybody. Le levanto una casa, le construyo un camino, le pongo sabor al vino, le saco mito a la fábrica, luego el fondo de la tierra, conquisto la altura, camino por las estrellas y hago surco la espesura. Well, I quickly learned the language of Bonabos and Patron. They killed me over and over for daring to sing my song. But I pick myself back up each time, helped by the hands of others. But I know I'm not alone now. There are so many of us. Aprendí el vocabulario del amo, dueño y patrón. Me mataron tantas veces por levantarles la voz, pero del suelo me paro porque me prestan la mano, porque ahora no estoy solo, porque ahora somos tantos. A song, maybe this, I'll do a song about Victor Jara. Is this sound all right? It's okay, it's fine, it's okay. Okay, it's a poem written by a man called Adrian Mitchell, an English poet, a friend of Joan Jara, the wife of Victor. And when she went into exile because she had a British passport. She was originally British. And so she was not murdered during the coup in 1973, 50 years ago, when Victor was tortured and murdered us along with so many others. And still people are looking for their disappeared ones. And we tend to forget, just as we've forgotten Nicaragua, we've mostly forgotten Chile, and yet people are still looking for their lost ones. And now we have it replicated, of course, here in Palestine, and of course to a degree among peoples everywhere. Nicaraguans are still suffering war, financial war. We even had an uprising, a Contra-type uprising only 5 years ago. And did anyone know about that? No? There you go. And yet during the 80s, there were more of us in Nicaragua than there were Nicaraguans. Yeah. Anyway, this is a song. This is a song by Adrian Mitchell called Victor Jara of Chile. It tells the story. And set to music by Arlo Guthrie. Okay, so it goes. And it's got a chorus. And I'm not hearing people singing so loud. And you were doing really well on the old blues number. Right? Yeah, it was a bit of support here. All this way from Nicaragua, just to have, people not sing. Okay, it goes. Victor Jara of Chile lived like a shooting star, fought for his people of Chile with his songs and his guitar. Comes the chorus. And his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. Can you manage that? His hands were gentle, his hands were strong. Victor was a peasant. He worked from a few years old, sat upon his father's plow, watched the earth unfold, and his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. When the neighbors had a wedding, or one of the children died, his mother sang all night for them, Victor by her side. And his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. He grew to be a fighter against his people's wrongs, took their joys and their sorrows, turned them into songs, and his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. He sang for the copper miners and those who worked the land, sang for the factory workers, they knew he was their man. And his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. He campaigned for Allende, working night and day. He sang, take hold of your neighbor's hands, the future begins today. And his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. When the generals, they seized Chile, they arrested Victor then. They caged him in the stadium with 5,000 frightened men. Though his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. Victor sang in the stadium, his voice was clear and strong, sang for his fellow prisoners till the gods cut short his song. And his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. They tortured him for 2 long days, they beat his lovely head. They broke the bones in both his hands, then they shot him dead. Though his hands were gentle, his hands were strong. Well, the general still rule in Chile. We gringos have our thanks, for they rule with hawker hunter jets, they rule with chieftain tanks. And his hands were gentle, and his hands were strong. His hands were gentle, his hands were strong. Victor Jara of Chile, he lives like a shooting star. He fights for the people of Chile with his songs and his guitar. His hands are gentle, his hands are strong. His hands are gentle, his hands are strong. Yeah. Give you an idea of Victor's gentle songs. It's a song called Luchin, which means Louis in English. Name of the little boy. Little boy who had a horse. So he was a rich little boy, not a bit of it. His mom and dad had a horse and cart. That's how they tried to make a living, as people still do in Nicaragua today. Scraping up stuff, clearing the shit. And came along a great big storm, and well, I should say before that, Luchin used to live with the horse. They had a little old shack, made out of cardboard and, what you call that stuff, zinc, we call it corrugated iron, what do you call it here, tin roofs, stuff. And along came this dirty great storm, and little old Luchin and all his family were in this shack, and one half of the shack, which would be, the kind of size from the piano to here, more or less, like we have in Nicaragua still. One half would be mom and dad and all the other kids, the 25 other kids. And then there would be, in the other half, Luchin and the horse, because they had to bring him in at night so he wouldn't wander off or get stolen. Along came a great big storm, washed the house away. Luchin came to stay with Victor and John, and Victor wrote this song. Luchin. Frágil como un volantín en los techos de barranca. Luchin, sorry, I'm trying to do it in 2 languages at the same time, it's difficult. Jugaba niño Luchin con su manita morada, con la pelota de trapo, con el gato y con el perro. El caballo lo miraba, fragile as a tiny kite, flying high above the rooftops. Luchin playing in the mud. His little hands a mass of children, playing with his little rag ball, with his friend the cat and his friend the dog. The old horse stands there, smiling gently. The horse was like a great big toy, standing in the tiny cabin, seemed to give him so much joy. To be Lucine's close companion, playing with his little rag ball, with his friend the cat, his friend the dog. The old horse stands there, smiling gently. Si hay niños como Luchin que comen tierra y gusano, Abraham toda para que vuelan como pájaros con la pelota detrás, con el gato y con el perro. El caballo lo miraba. So if there are children like Luchin, left with only mud and worms to eat, why don't we open all the cages so that like little birds they can fly away free, free with the little rag ball. His friend the cat, his friend the dog. With the old horse too. Why not? I wanted to introduce you to a rather less known musician than myself. He is, generally goes under the title of Beethoven. So, I'm sure, you think he was a shaggy dog. I know. This is Ode to Joy in another form. And it was a song you sang about, this is the time. Was it tomorrow? Was it yesterday? What was it? Was it today?
Is it tomorrow or was it yesterday?
Yeah. So this is a song I wrote in Nicaragua. It's called Ode to Earth. And it's the work that I do mostly these days is because the great Third World War is already upon us. It's not really in the Middle East, nor in Ukraine. It's already upon us all. Last year alone, over 250,000 people died as a result of global scalding. Maybe I shouldn't call it warming. Warming sounds, climate change. It sounds like you're changing your socks, right? This is a catastrophe. This is an emergency. If we thought COVID was an emergency, this is infinitely more emergency, if that's a possibility. And we have to begin to respond as though that were the case. And of course now the Mother Earth is beginning to beat our heads together all over the world. I thought, in a certain sense, in a very warped sense, I was glad when people started to suffer here and in Britain, because we thought that we in the South, and I say we proudly because I'm now a Nicaraguan as well as a Brit, and talk about the sublime and the ridiculous, that we in the South were going to suffer, as we are. Nicaragua is one of the most affected countries by global boiling, scalding, frying, whatever you want to use, although we produce hardly any global warming gases. But now we're all beginning to experience it, and that's the only way we learn, of course. It's not that people here are mean or ugly or horrible or anything like that. It's just that human experience, we're all so busy with our lives, it's only when something comes and clips us around the ear that we begin to notice that this is actually happening all over. So, ode to Earth, one planet, one people. We can hum it, and then I could sing it over the top. That's the great idea. We're looking to get a great global hum going, okay? Can you imagine the entire planet? Because the one common musical language, of course, is humming, right? You know, you can sing in Chinese and you can sing in Urdu, but we can all hum. So what we can do here is we all hum, and then if we do it gently enough, I'll be able to sing over the top with the words, okay? So can we try that? So we go, la 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 di, la la di, la la. Let's try again. Earth is one, our mother, our glory, life and hope, beauty and peace, caring for each one of her children, no matter race, gender, color or creed. But now our mother is close to dying, beaten, violated, ravaged, raw. Now is our moment, all my family, come to her rescue as never before. Oceans are surging, the sun it is scalding, forests and animals cower in fear. Join hands with us now, all you peoples, singing, creating the future that's near. Every person, all races and nations, weaving our joy, our sweat, our blood. Tomorrow is now, oh beloved family, build it now together, united in love. I'm a complete Beethoven fanatic, and the wonderful thing about him, he was actually a very revolutionary person. People don't really know that. In his time, he nearly got sent to jail quite often because he would be outspoken against the hierarchy of the day. And he was only saved from that by the power of his music. Yeah? And so his dream was exactly that. He expressed our dream. This is the dream of all of us, right? But as the poem he chose by a guy called Schiller for the words for Ode to Earth, or Ode to Joy, or Ode to Freedom, as it originally was, got changed for political reasons. You know, it was like, what's the word, censorship in those days? And the words he chose specifically, which are repeated over and over and over again, oh, freedom, or joy, where your tender wings hover, all peoples will become one. That was. So here's a little song, a love song from Nicaragua, about Nicaragua. It comes from the revolution. It's a true love song because not only is it full of the usual guff that we guys dump on ladies, but it's, you're so sweet, you're this, that, and the next thing, and God knows what. But then he suddenly says, now that you're free, Nicaragua, my love for you will blaze out like fire. Ay, Nicaragua, Nicaraguita, la flor más linda de mi cara, abonada con la bendita Nicaraguita, sangre de lirio. Ay, Nicaragua, sos más dulcita que la mielita de Tamagas. Pero ahora que ya sos libre, Nicaragüita, yo te quiero mucho más. Pero ahora que ya sos libre, Nicaragüita, yo te quiero mucho más. Did you hear this song? Strong buffalo in Nicaragua. It's all going all the time. So I went home, had no Spanish, learned a bit of Spanish, and this is the Scottish version. Oh, Nicaragua, Nicaragua. La flor, oh, lovely flower of my heart. Overflowing with purest waters, Nicaragüita, the blood of dear young hand. Oh, Nicaragua, you're so much sweeter than all the honey of Tamagas. But now, my darling, my Nicaragüita, now that you've freedom, my love for you can blaze out like fire. And now, my darling, my Nicaragüita, now that you've freedom, my love for you will blaze out like fire. Yeah. Important to note there, especially in the context of First Nation, please fill me in. What's the best? First Nation? How do we say? People of this part of the world, the original peoples. Dakota. Okay. So, all right. So the song says, the blood of Diriangén. Diriangén was an indigenous leader during the conquistadores, and he was slaughtered along with his people. And Nicaragua is overflowing with purest water. And in that sense, the analogy of the blood of the indigenous peoples. And one of the wonderful things about Nicaragua, the revolution, is that 31% of the land was returned to the indigenous peoples of Nicaragua. So that's what I was going to sing next. Let me think. Oh, I know. Yeah. One of the great exploitations of Nicaragua is coffee. Wonderful coffee. We have some of the best coffee in the world. And yet, I was working with coffee pickers up in the north, up in Matagalpa and Jinotega, if you remember. Anyone else been in Nicaragua here?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then you will know where Jinotega and Matagalpa are, right up in the north, and up towards the border with Honduras. And that's where the best coffee is. It's a little higher there. It's not, they're called mountains there. Not really that high, but they do really good coffee. And so I was working up there a little while, and seeing how whole families had to come out to work, the little kids too, just at the harvest time, and that they were working 12 hours a day, and they were getting paid what I discovered to be the price of a Starbucks mocha java on going to New York after being with the coffee pickers in Nicaragua. So that was quite a contrast, and this is a song that related from it. It's called Frappuccino Crappuccino. Just flew in from Nicaragua, rather grimy and really tired. Saw that cute little Starbucks sign, to heaven it was wired. Staggered on in, parked my guitar, cried out to the barista guy, oh man, you are my savior, give me coffee before I die. But looking rather puzzled, he said, what do you want? Frappuccino, cappuccino, grande chocoto, cream along fat non-dairy, and that's not remotely all. Do you want iPhone, no phone, no phone, triple latte or mocha bliss? And if you want to answer my question, sir, you're sure going to get me pissed. Now, I sang this song first in its original form to my sister. Now, my sister talks like the Queen, not like the Queen used to talk, like King Charles talks, okay? So she said, well, wait a minute, I don't understand. Why is everybody getting drunk? I thought this was a song about coffee, you see. And I, you know, in Britain, if you're going to do this correctly, you have to say pissed off, you see. Because we don't say pissed, that means getting drunk, okay? So please amend your song. So I did, and as a result, it's the world's greatest sing-along song, because you only get to that point, just going to get me pissed, and everybody can whisper very quietly one three-letter word. But the trick, oh well, let's try it. Let's try it, we'll get so excited here. So, somewhat startled by his reaction, I gulped down my surprise, and this corporate-induced vision swam before my eyes. People of every nation slogging over their Starbucks grades. Got to get those multiple choices right before that mucker's made. What do you want? Frappuccino, cappuccino, grande chocoto, cream low fat non-dairy, and that's not remotely all. Do you want iPhone, no phone, no phone, triple latte or mocha bliss? And if you're ready, and if you want to answer my question, sir, you're sure going to get me pissed. But the trick is you have to do it like the royal family. They don't say off like normal human beings. They say off. You have to drag it out from somewhere down here. You have to piss off. Okay? Can we practice that? All together now. 1, 2, 3. Pissed off. That's it. We really get it out there. So I said, hang on there, Mr. Starbucks. I'm not asking for the moon. Just I need a shot of Java Man to help me stay in tune. Sorry I don't talk you Starbucks speak. All your questions have got me in a spin. Please just give me an hour or 5 and I'll try to get my order in. Frappuccino, cappuccino, grande chocoto, cream of fat non-dairy, and that's not remotely all. Do you want iPhone, no phone, no phone, triple latte or mocha bliss? And if you want to answer my question, sir, you're sure going to get me pissed. Oh, that's very good. The Queen would be listening up there. Finally, it hit me. I was falling in a Starbucks trap, and all this pseudo-sophisticated bullshit was just a load of crap. For us, they peddle their greedy little potions, for which we have to pay an arm and a leg. In Nicaragua, the coffee pickers' children, they're forced to go out and beg. So, Mr. Starbucks, sir, just stuff your frappuccino, mutated milk and all. And hey, whatever happened to that fairly traded coffee you promised? And parenthetically, this is my favorite line. What's wrong with words like large and small? Don't you want to reinvest some mega profits so no child's meal shall be missed? And if you want to answer our questions, Mr. Starbucks, sure, going to get us pissed right off! Sure. Now, we don't want to go too long. How long are we going here? Dave?
I think everybody's hanging in here.
Okay, because we've got to finish up with we got a couple of songs to finish with. Of us all of us together, so we mustn't forget that. Just try and find my little cheat sheet. Huh? There we are. Okay, now let's see. So, one always talks about Victor Jara, quite rightfully. An amazing and wonderful super musician, super poet. He was actually a wonderfully complex person. He was a theatre director. He organized the groups in Tiliman and Quilapayún. He was a singer-songwriter. He was a dancer. And when he was dancing, he was taking a class from this person called Joanne, and that turned out to be Joanne Turner from England. And this was a long, lovely story. And Victor was 8 years her junior, and she had just been dumped by a guy. She had followed this dancer called Patricia Bunster, Chilean, from London to Chile. And they had had a daughter together, Manuela, and then he went off with a contestant for Miss Chile and left poor Joan high and dry. And so she tells a story. It's a lovely book if you can ever come across it. It's called Victor, an Unfinished Song. Victor, an Unfinished Song by Joan Jara. Yeah? And anyway, she tells the story how there was this timid knock on her door, and she eventually opened it because she was really depressed. And there was this big smile outside, like the Cheshire Cat, because Victor had this enormous smile. And so it was Victor Jara, one of her students, and he'd got some flowers. And he said, "These are for you." And she, being British and very awkward, you know, the way we Brits are, said, like the Queen, you know, "Oh, thank you, you know. Don't get too close with this song." Anyway, so, kind of long story short, Victor kept at it, and in the end, they got married and had Amanda, the famous song, Te Recuerdo Amanda, which everybody thinks is about that. But there's a wonderful song from Nicaragua. It's called My Personal Revenge in English. Called Mi Venganza Personal in Español. It was written by one of the Mejía Godoy brothers, Luis Enrique, not Carlos. Carlos wrote Nicaragua, Nicaraguita. This is written by Luis Enrique, Mejía Godoy. And it's exactly what Joan would say. Whenever people talk about Victor and the necessity for justice for Victor, she says, no, not only Victor. There are so many still, not here, only in Chile, but all over the world. And the dream that we have is that expressed in this song. And I should say there's one other woman. The important thing here is emphasizing the woman, because we overlook. When I'm thinking at the end, we shout out, "Que vive Victor Jara, que vive Salvador Allende, que vive Sandino." Where are the women? And the women were there and are there. You women, you hold up half the sky, as the saying goes, right? Mm-hmm. But you're not celebrated in the way that you should be. So I'm honoring not only John, but another wonderful person I met in Los Angeles. I was there traveling around, and there was a little note came saying, death squads are active here in Los Angeles, attacking the Salvadoran community. And we would, if anyone has time to be with the families that are targeted, please sign this piece of paper. You know, so any piece of paper that goes by, you sign, don't you? And I was doing nothing else anyway, so I signed this piece of paper, and it went on its way, and I thought no more about it. And then a little bit later, I got a phone call from a German lady who's living there, who was organizing the road tour of gringos and gringas to be with the Salvadorans. And again, to cut a very long story short, I ended up in the house of the principal target, Janira Merino, who had already, 22 years old, she'd come illegally, I mean, whatever the word is, without papers, because of what's happening, of the violence that we were provoking in her country with El Salvador. That's the reason. So she came, and she was active in the local Salvadoran community, the Solidarity community, and the death squads came for her. And she They took her away from a meeting with CISPES. She was in a meeting with CISPES. She went down to a car, didn't come back. And they found her at the side of the freeway 6 hours later, abused in every way you can possibly imagine and worse. And only left alive, as they said, so that she could warn others to stop what they were doing, challenging this government, supporting militarism and death squads around the world, and in this case, particularly in Central America. And so I got to live in Janira's house, and she was away for months, recovering. Interestingly enough, or coincidentally, in a monastery. And eventually she came back, and we started to go on tour, because they said, if you don't stop what you're doing, we'll come back and we'll behead your son, Marito. And he was 3 years old at the time, a raving commie, desperate, so I had to get rid of him. So Yani, instead of saying, we can't really go on with this, she said, to hell with that. And she started going on national tour, and I went along with her. And we did various things and sang various songs. She told the story. And her courage stopped the death squads in their tracks. They didn't attack anybody else, because it made the whole solidarity movement was galvanized. And she even was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. But she always said, no matter what we sing, we must sing this song, my personal revenge, mi venganza personal. Oh, I will be revenged. Oh, I should do it in Spanish first. Mi venganza personal será el derecho de tus hijos a la escuela y las flores. Mi venganza personal será entregarte este canto florecido sin temores. Mi venganza personal será mostrarte la bondad que en los ojos de mi pueblo, implacable en el combate, siempre ha sido, más firme, generoso en la victoria. Oh, I will be revenged upon your children. They've the right to schooling and to flowers. When my vengeance will be sweet, when I can sing you this song born in the freedom and the quiet hours. My revenge will be to show you all the goodness I see shining in the eyes of this my people, courageous and unyielding in the battle, still more constant and more generous in the victory. Venganza personal será decirte buenos días sin mendigos en las calles, cuando en vez de encarcelarte te propongo, te sacura la tristeza de tus ojos, cuando vos, aplicador de la tortura, ya no puedes levantar ni la mirada. Mi venganza personal será entregarte estas manos que una vez vos maltrataste, sin lograr que abandonaran la ternura. When that day comes, I'll greet you with good morning. There will be no beggars left to haunt us. For you, my brother, I can demand no prison, but call on you to clear your eyes of sadness. For when you, the one who tortured me, stand forward, your eyes downcast, all your strength forgotten, my revenge will be to reach to you, my brother, with these the very hands which once you tore and tortured, without the strength or power to rob them of their tenderness. Nicaragua today. Nicaragua is, as I said, we have had only 5 years ago this terrible uprising, many people killed, an entire misinformation campaign conducted up here about the students being massacred by the police and all the rest of it. I have videos I can show you of the torturers torturing Sandinistas in the street, setting them on fire. It was exactly like the Contra War when I came in 1985. It was exactly the same thing. There's that hatred of Sandinismo, because Sandinismo is the threat of a good example. We have free healthcare. We have free education through university. We have 31% of the land owned by indigenous peoples. We have equality of gender by law in all of the public positions. We have cooperatives, so they're coming out of your ears, and so much more. Oh, we have 75% of energy is from renewable resources. 90% of food we grow ourselves. This is why we are a threat. Not because we're wicked and dictators and all that rubbish. It's because we are a threat. Like Cuba, like Venezuela, we show that there is another way. And capitalism, imperialism, the Brits were the same. We would still be doing it, we still are doing it, but not to the same degree. The old white race is essentially old white guys like me. We are the problem, And we are the ultimate minority when you think. The majority of the people in the world just about are women, or at least equal. And most people in the world are colored much more beautifully than we are, right? And we have this terror of being replaced, right? What is it called? The Great Replacement Theory. I think what we have to have, what did I call it? The Great Embracement Theory. That's what we're working for. One planet, one people. Anyway, so this is Nicaragua today. Whereas we had that lovely love song, this is one called Sovereignty. All right. And you have to imagine we're in the mountains and the echo of Sandino. Okay, so you hear this. Again, it's in Spanish first. I managed to do a translation. Sandino, Sandino, Sandino. Sandi, Sandi, Sandi. Nicaragua is sovereign, sovereign land of Sandino. It's written large throughout our history, in pure blood and not ink for printing. And I hear again unbidden the proud words of El General, hero of La Segovia. Our sovereignty knows no discussion. We will die defending it. We will brook no interference, no foreign manipulation. For how can a stranger speak to the heart of a Nicaragua? Afuera, go home, go blow off your hot air. But if you're here in our homeland, you respect our bandera, our proud flag azul y blanco that no foreign star is staining. Just as Andres Castro's stone struck, our dignity proclaiming. In Nicaragua, most ambassadors respect diplomatic order. But there are some who simply scorn it. One gentleman in particular, filled with blind arrogance, prime export of the gringos, born of La Casa Blanca. So if you want to speak, sir, come give up your accreditation. And you'll soon see how short your stay is, how soon you'll be deported. Not talking war here, just saying loud and clear, it's your right to go on yapping, but afuera. Go home, go blow off your hot air. But if you're here in Nicaragua, you respect our bandera, our proud flag azul y blanco, unstained by foreign star. Since that one glorious day, Sandino unfurled la rojinegra. So we're going to have 2 songs, I think. Is that all right?
Are you gonna do a song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to make an announcement?
One song?
2 songs.
2?
Yep. Oh, there's Nichicha ni Lemona.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's gonna
okay.
help him?
Yeah, all right.
So this is a song by Victor Jara. Do you want to say something, Dave? You're standing there.
No,
I want to say kind of move.
I'm
Okay. I'll see these. Anyway, this is another song by Victor, one of his most famous songs. It's called Ni Chicha ni Limonada. And it means, well, it means neither moonshine whiskey nor lemonade. We're sitting on the fences, he says, playing with ourselves. And it's directed to people like me, the woolly liberals of the world. Okay? And so you would translate it, I guess, neither fish nor fowl, something like that. I've done a version in English again. But it has this wonderful, wonderful summation of all that we're looking for, just as Beethoven, you know. Oh joy, oh freedom, where your tender wings hover, all peoples will become one. Here's the dream. He says, if you want to get down and party, first there's so much to do. Bread, shelter, song and friendship. For her and him, for me and you. And if you find that too radical, that's up to you, Jack. This baby is going forward, no time for turning back. So, are we ready, Mr. Tambourine Man over there?
You go ahead.
Okay, Ni Chicha ni Limonada by Victor Jara. Que viva Victor Jara, que viva John Jara, que viva Janiro Merino. Arrímese más pa' acá, aquí donde el sol calienta. Si usted que está comprado, anda dando voltereta, y ningún daño le hará estar donde está. Oh no, you sing my cable, my cable, I'm so sorry. Where is it? Yeah, because I pitched the guitar lower because my voice is a little lower. So I'm going to use the abbot's toilet seat to raise the pitch of the guitar. I'm sure he'd be really delighted if he knew. Unfortunately, he died 100 years ago, so yeah, but you have to suck it. You know, sucking on the toilet seat.
Oh, you have to suck
But
it?
I've done it for many years now, so it's now, it won't stick otherwise, you see. It's not designed, it's a non-stick toilet seat, I think. But you see what it was, I mean, those were the days. Even monks had mahogany toilet seats, imagine. You know, plastic rubbish. Anyway, we're right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. He's probably cursing me as we speak. That's the guy who nicked my toilet seat, you think. Okay?
Yes.
Arrímese más pa' acá, aquí donde el sol calienta. Si usted que está acostumbrado, anda donde volreta, y ningún daño le hará estar donde las papas queman. Y ningún daño le hará estar donde las papas queman. Usted no es nada, no es chicha ni limona. Se lo pasa manos y llama, caramba, samba, su dignidad. Usted no es chicha ni limona. Se lo pasa mal, se anda, caramba, samba su dignidad. Come on, now get yourself over here. Get over where the sun is shining. Yes, you are always holding back, making sure that your butt is covered. Come on now, come and join us over here where the spuds are burning. Come on now, come and join us over here where the spuds are burning. Oh, you're not real. Get off the damn fence. Yes, you who love to sit round and fondle your precious Peter's fence. No hay chicha ni limona. Se lo pasa manoseando, caramba, samba su dignidad. Si queremos más filles toca, primero hay que trabajar y tendremos parto, abrigo, pan y amistad. Y si usted no está de acuerdo, es cuestión de usted nomás. La cosa va para adelante y no pienso regular. Usted no es nada, no es chicha ni limona. Se lo pasa manoseando, caramba, a su dignidad. Usted oiga, no es nada, no es chicha ni limona. Se lo pasa manoseando, caramba, a su dignidad. I was saying good verse, here comes in English. So if you want to get down and party, first there's so much to do. Bread, shelter, song and friendship, for her and him, for me and you. And if you find that too radical, well, that's up to you, Jack. This baby is going forward, no time for turning back. Oh, you're not real. Get off the damn fence. Yes, you who love to sit round and fondle your precious Peter's fence. Usted no es nada, no es chicha ni limona. Se lo pasa manoseando, caramba, samba su dignidad. One more time, we can do that terrific verse. Okay? So if you want to get down and party first, there's so much to do. Bread, shelter, song and friendship, for her and him, for me and you. And if you find that too radical, well, it's up to you, Jack. This baby is going forward, no time to turn back. Oh, you're not real. Get off the damn fence. Yes, you run and find your precious Peter's fence. Usted no es nada, no es chicha ni limona. Se lo pasa manoseando, caramba, samba su dignidad. Que viva string bean? Is that what you call it? Yeah. Que viva string bean! Yeah. Que viva the veteranos por la paz. Y gracias a todos. Thanks so much to everybody for inviting me, especially to Penny and to Craig for putting up with me in their house, upsetting the normal routine, and feeding me most wonderful, and being so gentle and loving. And also David back. He's got his hand up. Yeah?
All right.
Come on, yeah?
Paul Baker Hernández.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And the guitar.